Nation, we're back. With that ATS vibe. I think that's beautiful right there. With that ATS vibe. Austin, Texas, baby. Longhorn Nation, we're back.
We're back. Hey, we are back. Long trip to Michigan. Thank y'all for joining us. As always, I am Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And we are Fire the Cannon.
Boom.
All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to catch up on. Yes. We're going to give a quick recap of Michigan, what we saw that went well, what maybe Texas could improve on.
And we're going to get really nitpicky
we're going
into Michigan.
We're going to be nitpicky here.
Give them an old school beat down. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be nitpicky about that. Take a look at Texas, the good, the bad, maybe some of the ugly, if there was any to look at.
There's always something to work on.
Of course. And then of course, we're going to preview UTSA. How are the Roadrunners and Jeff Traylor going to fare in DKR? Back in Austin.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll give a couple of previews, some pick'ems for us.
Yes.
And then, of course, we'll give our predictions for that upcoming game this Saturday. So, let's get it rocking. I mean, we had a crazy event. I mean, Michigan. Now, I got to say, a lot of people think I'm from Michigan because I'm so hyped about it, right? So, to be clear, I was born and raised in Austin, but my parents met at Michigan State. Right. And so they met there. My mom was the first woman and only woman in the Michigan State band. My parents graduated from state and then moved down to Austin where they had me to go to UT. So I've been the Longhorns are my number one, but being back up in Michigan, I have a ton of family there because both my parents are from there. So for me, it was a little homecoming as far as getting to
cleaning my glasses.
No, I like it. Yeah. As far as getting to see my family, getting to see some friends, people I grew up with, because I did spend pretty much all my summers up there as I was growing up. So I was excited to share that with you. And I maybe I overhyped the trip. Maybe I overhyped Detroit. But I want your thoughts. What did you think of Michigan while you were up there in Detroit specifically?
Okay, so I've been to Michigan before, but other parts. I have another good friend from Michigan. So, but this was pretty cool because you were pretty excited to show us like Detroit and hang out in that part of the city, that part of the state. And we went and had good pizza. We went and walked around town, found a great pub. We got tattoos.
Yes,
that's what we do.
Texas tattoos.
So I don't know if you can see, but I got Texas Fight. It's kind of crooked. Yeah. I mean, I'm on twisted on the camera, but it says Texas Fight. So when I do my horns up, you can see Texas Fight. And you got one touchdown.
I got Texas Fight. So when I have my horns up, you can see it on either side. So
Texas Fight.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we got to hang out with some good friends. So Stevie, our good friend here in Austin, who is a massive Texas fan, her, and Mia, they have the whiteboard signs. So a lot of people know
whiteboard girls.
Whiteboard girls. They were writing funny things on the whiteboard, and it got on TV. So now it's a whole thing. So we rented this pimp house.
Yeah, and pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we found out stuff about that house. It's pretty cool. So we rented this house. It was like decked out, pink plush, everything. Every room had been added on and renovated in different decades, and you could literally see. It was a cool house in a great neighborhood. It was fun.
Historical home. It was in the Boston Edison district, which is like one of the oldest neighborhoods, if not the oldest neighborhood in Detroit, in the Detroit area. So actually Henry Ford's house, like the OG mansion, was in that neighborhood. And we found out some history about that home as we're going through. Maybe a little bit of mob activity happened there.
We don't know.
We don't know. We didn't confirm nor deny.
We didn't hear anything.
But it was pretty cool. So it was a lot of fun. Of course, I've actually got family in Ann Arbor as well. So I booked it kind of early. I left Detroit around 4:00 in the morning to get to Ann Arbor at 5 so we could get a spot for the tailgate. We were told there would be tailgating. We were told they would be hyped about it.
There were lots of tents and lots of nice people tailgating. There was a good tailgating atmosphere.
Yeah, a lot of folks there for sure. One of my favorite anecdotes is as we were, Stevie and I got there early. We got our spot. We're setting up. And as we were driving by, like as we were walking by to get things set up, Stevie overheard one of the Michigan people like, excited. Can't wait until Texas sees how we do it up here. Like thinking that we were, and that's cool. That's great. Good. But the attitude was kind of like, they have no idea how we do tailgating right. And Stevie's just giggling at it. Right. So of course I start setting up my tailgate. It's a small tailgate. My away tailgates are pretty small. So I have my 2 tents, but then my neon sign comes out and I got the music going. It's a good speaker. And like, the sponsor beer, thank you Corona, thank you Modelo, starts coming out. And then the bar is getting set up. And apparently this guy, the one that had said, oh, can't wait to show him how to tailgate, kind of shrank back a little bit, closed his tent up, and actually like shut his stuff down and left. Yeah. So listen, man, we had a great time though.
Everyone around us was really nice. People stopped us and offered us, shots and coffee. And the table next to us, they were so nice. They laid out all this stuff to make breakfast tacos.
Yeah.
And he was like telling me this is a breakfast burrito. And I'm like, thanks.
Appreciate it.
But they were so nice. They had sausage and potatoes and eggs and all the things that you have made.
Yeah, for sure.
Sour cream and salsa, all this stuff. And they were just like, come over and eat with us. Come over and eat. And they were feeding everybody, just so nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Everybody was really good.
Yeah, great atmosphere. And I got to say, like, one thing that I'm going to give a shout out to the Michigan fans, because, there's a lot of hype around this game. And we know, like, Texas fans travel. And I think they were expecting Texas fans to show up, but I don't know if they were expecting us to show up in force the way that Texas does. But the fans were great. They were welcoming. Everybody was like, hey, thanks for coming to Ann Arbor. We got some horns down, but that's all right.
All in good fun.
All in good fun. Name of the game, right? We even had to teach some of them how to do the horns down, because we got aloha down. We got I love you down.
We got rock and roll down. We got everything sometimes but the like it goes like this, people.
Right. We had to show them. No, but it was a good time. And I will say, I think part of that, and this is just my speculation on this, but people love to hate Texas, right? But I think Michigan, obviously, you got to call them a blue blood. They're the winningest program in college football history. I think the fans, just like Texas fans, you get used to people loving to hate Texas or hating Texas more than they love themselves. I think Michigan gets a lot of the same, right? I think there are a lot of parallels between Michigan and Texas. So in that sense, you didn't get those kind of like those fans that felt that they had to compensate for something. They're Michigan. They don't need to overcompensate.
Yeah, so, and coming off of a national championship.
Right. So no, it was a great time. We definitely we had our predictions. Let's talk about that a little bit. I had Texas at 34-10. I think you had it a little bit closer.
I had it more like a 24-19, I think.
Yeah.
I thought they would move the ball.
Yeah. So look, let's just jump right into it. Texas showed up. The fans were there, no doubt.
Big noon kickoff was there.
Yeah,
college game day was there.
It was the most
watched game,
watched game
of the college football season.
Yeah. So again, we know that Sark is talking and telling the team, don't buy into the rat poison, don't believe all the hype and everything. But fans, it's okay for us to do that. It's okay for us to get excited. Yeah. So listen, 9.35 million people tuned in to watch Texas at Michigan, and I gotta say, I mean, I'm gonna use this language. Texas put a whooping on them. I mean, it was absolutely a shellacking in my opinion.
Megan.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
Mind the language.
Well, I think this is still my Texas fan PTSD. Like if I use language that's definitive, Texas beat up on Michigan, right? Is that a jinx for the next game? No, look, I'm trying to break myself of that habit. It's okay. When we beat the crap out of somebody, it's okay to say that was a butt whooping, right? So Texas came in, easily moved the ball. I mean, that was something where I don't think it was until the second quarter, maybe even the third, that Texas saw its first punt. And that was the first punt of the season.
Right.
So Texas definitely, I think it's official. We can say Texas has a red zone offense now.
Best in the country, the best red zone offense in the Power Four.
Right. Went from one of the worst.
Right.
Couldn't convert to save our lives to one of the best. I mean, that is a quick turnaround and a big testament to what Sark and staff have done with this team. And of course, the work that the team has put in and really the drive. So let's talk about it a little bit. Texas broke a bunch of records. We heard about it. We know, of course, like I said, Michigan is a storied program. The Big House is a hard place to play. And again, credit to Michigan fans. They showed up. They were loud. They were rowdy for about the first half.
The student section was packed and loud and ready to go. But like you said, so, John Bianco with University of Texas, he said 16 straight home wins, gone. 16 straight wins, 23 straight for Michigan, 23 straight home wins, gone. 29 straight regular season wins, Big Ten record. 15 straight non-conference wins, and then the first non-conference home loss in over a decade.
That's a big deal.
Even if Michigan is down, they were down. They were rebuilding or reloading or however you want to say. There were moments in those last 10 years where they were rebuilding and reloading and no one went in there and beat them.
Yeah.
There were moments over the last, 5-10 years where they were rebuilding and struggling. Nobody went into that place and beat them except Texas.
Yeah.
That's big. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. So, again, look, Texas goes into Tuscaloosa last year, beats. It sends Nick Saban off with a home loss for the first time in a really long time by double digits. Texas came in and just waxed the floor with Michigan. And look, that score would have been worse. There were a couple of calls that I would call controversial.
The first touchdown of DeAndre Moore.
Yeah, DeAndre Moore. That first touchdown getting called back. And then, of course, Texas misses that field goal
right after. Shocking.
Very uncharacteristic for Auburn. But but then Texas got rolling until the end. I mean, the fourth quarter kind of junk time. Texas let up a little bit. Let's just call it a spade a spade.
I just think he threw a throw that he might not make again all year.
And that
was a great play when it mattered the most. Some pride. But yeah, for 58 minutes of the game, they couldn't even get down the field.
I agree with that. But I also do think, and again, we can use the excuse Texas had their 2s and 3s in, whatever. But there was definitely an intensity difference at that point, in my opinion, from the Texas players' standpoint compared to a vast majority of the game. So that is something Sark said he wanted to address. Look, he wants it to be 60 minutes of hell for the opponent. 60 minutes nonstop. And he said, we let up a little at the end. And that's something that, he said we have room for improvement there. Right. So listen, man, did you see the videos of Texas? So Michigan does it actually different than Texas does, different than a lot of places does. Their walk-in tunnel is in the middle. It's actually at the 50-yard line. Right. Really interesting setup kind of. So both teams come out of that. So of course, Texas is waiting. Michigan's there, hype. You've got Hail to the Victors, playing, the band's going. Michigan runs out, but as they're doing it, man, you see this video of Texas just locked in. Sark's there.
Sark at the door.
They got a little boozy going. Listen, they were, and to me.
And that girl on the side, she was like, let's go.
You just see that after the fact. You go, man, the game was over before it started. This team was ready. They were prepared. There was some question. We knew after the home opener for Texas, obviously another shellacking. The question was, could Texas go into a hostile environment? Could they answer? Again, we're going to, defending national champion. Yes, Michigan lost. I think it was 16 players to the NFL, something like that. I mean, it was a huge number, but they still had NFL talent, right? And could Texas respond? What was it going to, was it going to be a battle in the trenches? Was it going to be that slobber knocker football, that style of football that Michigan likes to play? And what we saw by all accounts was Texas took Michigan out of their game early. I don't think Michigan ever got in their game. They didn't have the opportunity. We knew that coming in, Michigan was going to be a one-dimensional team, right? The question at quarterback, when you've got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. So Michigan was supposed to be that one-dimensional run game team. But, I mean, Texas shut down the run pretty quickly, early and often. And then, of course, the offense was just rolling from the get-go. So, Rocky, let's get into that a little bit. What stuck out to you on offense as something that you were surprised by, or something that you were really proud of? That like, oh shit.
Well, we talked about this before the season, and then even before last week's game was, who were we really looking for? And I was really, really looking for Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm. And boom, this was Gunnar Helm's just on offense, talking about the key player, of course, Quinn, but Gunnar Helm's breakout game. All the talk going into this game was Loveland is the best tight end in the country. Loveland this. And he is stellar and will be drafted in the NFL, right? He is a talent. But Gunnar Helm showed up and said, hey,
what about me?
What about this guy?
I'm here too.
Yes. and not only was he physical, he had the blocking, but the catches downfield, the yards after the catch, like everything about the way Gunnar Helm went out to establish himself as one of the top tight ends in the country. And statistically now he is one of the top tight ends, top 10 tight ends in the country. It is fantastic that he's one of those great stories of someone who, of course, last year was behind Jatavian Sanders. He stuck with the program and developed and learned the system and got in that, in Sark's system. And it's amazing to see, what his body development, his game skill, his just everything about how much he loves being out there and how much he can produce now. Gunnar Helm was the difference maker in this game on offense, and I'm just so impressed. I'll go with that, and I'll leave one. I'll let you.
So to that point, Gunnar Helm got player of the game. This is the second game now in a row for Gunnar Helm. So seeing his development has been really exciting, and I think this is a testament for recruiting. Right, Sarkisian staff can go in and say, look at these players that we have. Texas does not rebuild at this point. Texas reloads.
Right now we're
and in the era of transfer portals and players saying, no, I need playing time now. And again, we don't fault anybody for that. We get it. But what a testament to what Sarkisian and co are doing in Austin,
right.
In Texas, and really developing players. And if you have a little bit of patience, if you stay in that system, if you get a little more time under your belt, holy crap, look at the player that you can turn into and just explode. I think we're going to see something similar again with Arch Manning as well.
Mm-hmm.
You hear all the rumors, all the clickbait stuff, but listen, Texas is stacked at quarterbacks, stacked in a lot of areas that in the past we've had some question marks. So to that point, I'm going to give a huge shout out to the O-line. I really want to say, again, Hayden Connor had what I would call his best game as a Longhorn at Michigan. Yeah. And look, Connor, you really saw his high IQ on display here, really paying attention, just leveling pancake blocks everywhere, leveling people. And of course, the stunts that they were pulling. Texas and Sarkisian is known for his motion, confusing defenses, getting everybody going. And a huge key to that is the O-line really being able to convince and sell and then be in position. Jake Majors, another one, had a massive game. You would see Jake 10, 20 yards down, throwing blocks, leveling people down. I mean, the O-line here was really just on fire.
Yes. And against an NFL D-line.
Yeah.
The two best interior D-linemen in the country, and a scheme that was intended to pressure and confuse, and an NFL coach scheme that is intended to just confuse them and pressure them. And all they did was hold it up and put it back on them, and they literally put them on their butts, on their backs, over and over again. And Quinn had time. Quinn had pressure, but he had enough time to make the right decisions and move the ball, and they were able to run even when Jaden Blue. So now we're down, CJ Baxter, Christian Clark before the season, and then within the game, Jaden Blue tweaked his ankle, and then he was able to come back and still put moves on these guys with whoop whoop, still with that, and still able to get down the field. But even when they went to Quintravion Wisner and Jarrett Gibson, the O-line, like you said, was still so dominant. The holes they were making holes for the running backs that even the ones that are still getting the experience were able to move the ball.
Yeah. No, I think that's something of note. Yes, Michigan definitely still has NFL talent, right? Especially the two. It was Graham, and who was the other? Remind me.
2 G names.
Yeah, it'll come to you. But look, what we saw was Texas was so dominant on that O-line front. They were wearing those guys out.
Graham.
Yeah, I think that's it. So they had to sit. I mean, they had to sit out. There were times that Michigan had to pull them. They just couldn't. They were gassed.
Yeah.
And my favorite part about that is that we found out a little later that some of our guys on the line, when they would go to sit down, like, bye, we'll see you in a few plays,
And Sark took advantage of it. As soon as they were out, they ran it right up the middle.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
All gas.
So really smart play calling, really, really smart play calling by Coach Sarkisian. The other thing, too, that I love to see, and we know that these guys, there is a huge advantage. Again, Jake Majors, it's his 4th year as a starter on the O-line. He's with a 3rd-year quarterback now. So you've got some familiarity. You've got the veterans in the game. But what you really saw this game that I loved was the love for Quinn. And that O-line was not going to let anybody mess with their quarterback. We saw this early in the game where Quinn, play had kind of been botched. He said he didn't see anything. So Quinn actually took a knee early on.
The running back went the wrong way, so he took
the knee. Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah, really smart play. And again, shows his maturity and how far he's come. He didn't try to force anything. But he took the knee, but the Michigan defender still came in and took him out. Hit him.
Obviously late.
Should have been a very clear late hit.
Yeah.
But was not called at that time. And immediately the O-line was there, and they were
all of them at some point got up in there.
Right. And they were pushing him off. Quinn, you don't touch my quarterback. That's my quarterback. I mean, that's the kind of love that you want to see. And I think it's really just a beautiful thing, seeing this team come together and the culture that they've built and watching how they're playing together.
Yeah. I mean, there were no swinging punches or anything, but standing up and putting yourself in that space is absolutely the way you want. Like, that's a penalty I'll take every time.
Well, and it ended up being,
don't swing, don't go all there, but stand up and let people know.
There was some pushing back and forth. It did end up being offsetting penalties.
Yeah.
CB, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you joining us. Yeah, according to the Michigan quarterback, they let Texas win. That's right. Look, they can be salty all they want afterwards. Again, I think the quarterback was in a tough position when you're in a 2-quarterback system.
Yeah, no rhythm. No,
it's hard to get in a rhythm. It's hard. And again, to Texas's credit, our D-line, there were some questions coming into this. Could the D-line perform after losing Sweat, after losing Murphy? What was the production going to look like for Texas? And I think Texas answered that loud and clear. They were pressuring the quarterback consistently, forcing him into some bad choices, some really bad throws from time to time. They really shut down that run and took what should have been a one-dimensional team to what dimension, right? It was fun to see. So yeah, look, CB, I got to agree with you. After you saw the comments afterwards, I think it was by Warren that said, oh yeah, we were off our game. Credit to Texas. They're a good team, but we let them win kind of thing. It felt very much to me like the Matt Leinart conversation after Texas beat USC in the national championship, where he just, Texas was good, but we beat ourselves. Listen, man,
4 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery, 4
right.
turnovers.
Right. Texas
did that.
Right. Texcalibur stayed full. I love that. So for those of you that don't know, Texas this year has adopted the turnover sword.
Yeah.
It was a thing that came in from that was brought in from Arizona State. So it's a big sword that has the longhorn on it, a silver longhorn on it, metal longhorn. Mm-hmm. And it has been dubbed Texcalibur, which I just absolutely love. Yeah. I think it's great.
It's cute.
Yeah, so Texas looking really good. Let's talk a little bit about defense as we've gotten into this. Was there something that surprised you for D? What did you see that really stood out for Texas? What questions were answered?
I think the D-line being so stout against the run was amazing. Texas outrushed them in the big house. Texas gave them their style of game in the big house. But like we just talked about, 4 turnovers at home, the pressure, the confusion, the hustle, like everything, 3 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. And that fumble recovery, I've watched this video 10 times now because everybody knows I love me some Michael Taft. And there, like we just talked about, Loveland did not have his best game. Their tight end. He gets the ball, catches the ball in space, turns up, and Michael Taft Mookie is headed at him, and Mookie's already hit him a couple times. He just dropped the ball, and I'm going to say maybe the streets are saying maybe he was scared of Mookie.
The streets are saying
that
the word is
maybe he was scared to get hit by Mookie again, that he just dropped the ball. But so then I think it was Barron that jumped on, Jade Barron jumped on it, and him and Mookie are kind of like rolling around trying to get the ball off the ground. But that was, to me, I'm going to say the turnovers on the road and holding up at the line for the run game, just so impressive. And the physicality, the scheme, just everything, and the execution always right. It came together. Fantastic job, defense.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to give a shout out here to the secondary. We saw last year in that semifinal game where our secondary, every now and again, they'd get caught a little bit flat-footed or hips out of position, and it was costly in that game against Washington. Mm-hmm. I think we saw a lot of maturity from last year to this year in a very short amount of time from our young cornerbacks, from our young DBs, and they weren't getting beat. They were on it. They weren't falling for things. I mean, they knew exactly where to be, and they allowed. What I really like to see is that our D-line was strong enough and doing their job well to put pressure on the quarterback and trusting in their corners and the DBs to be where they were. There were a few schemes where our guys were on an island and they had to be in position. They had to read the plays properly, and they had to communicate really well. And I thought Texas did that in a really great way. Yes, CB, I agreed wholeheartedly. Makuba was everywhere. And again, I want to point this out because a lot of the conversation after the game in Michigan, right? The excuse we heard time and time again from Michigan was, well, we lost 16 players to the NFL. Well, Texas lost 11. Rocky, you were saying
13, that we lost 11.
Yeah. So
same
we
difference.
Lost a lot of players too.
And we lost most of our production, just like they did. Most of our offensive production and defensive production moved on.
But the biggest difference here to me was Texas reloaded. Right. Texas used the portal well, and Makuba was a perfect example of that. Came into the system, fit really well. Right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think he settled in nicely. He understands, and I think he's going to be a huge piece of success of why the Texas defense is going to be successful this year.
Right.
Is having Makuba there. Now, I also want to say this too. This is part of the reason that I had Texas going in, winning big by double digits. To win a national championship, it takes so many little things that have to go perfectly right. You have to have talent, you have to have skill on every level, and you have to have a little bit of luck too, right? Like, let's just call it what it is. Chips have to fall just in the right way. For Michigan to lose their championship coach in Jim Harbaugh and a lot of the staff, plus a lot of the players, to me, you're taking away too many pieces of a very delicate balance to really be on the same level. Now, they're the 2023 national champions. You can never take that away from them, no question. But this Michigan team is going to be very different than what we saw from last year. So, with all that said, Texas should absolutely be excited. We should absolutely be proud of the job that we did going into the big house in a hostile environment, whooping up on a very good Michigan team in the way that they did. But yeah, and no Connor Stallions. That's right, CB. But let's also, as Texas fans, let's also take a breath, enjoy that win, be excited about it. Know that this is a quality win against a top 10 opponent in a hard place to play on the road. But let's also take that with a grain of salt, too. Yeah. This isn't the same. Yes, we beat the defending national championship team, but this is a different team than they were last year. So are there any final things that you want to point out and talk about in the Michigan game before we move on and look forward?
No, when we make our pick of the score for UTSA, we can kind of chat a little bit more about what we think they will take. Every week it's building on the last week, right? And we talked about what they could take from that butt kicking of Colorado State into Michigan. And then when we make our prediction, maybe we'll say what we think they can take into the next game. So, all right. So before we move on, to talk about the next thing, let's give a quick shout out to our friend Steve and his ranch. Chuck. Why did I say Steve? Sorry, I'm looking at something else. Sorry,
you're looking at Connor.
Yeah.
Steve
Sorry.
Chuck Smith.
Sorry. I'm looking at something else. Sorry. All right. So, friends, I'm posting the address, the website here. It's rockindiamondsranch.com. We have a great friend who is a big Longhorn supporter, lifetime Longhorn, and he has a beautiful ranch with a beautiful home on it that you can rent. It's right here in the Hill Country. It's just a few minutes away from Austin and San Antonio. So follow that link and check out how you can maybe rent the home for the weekend or for friends and family. Gorgeous. Has a pool. It has acreage.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is located in Blanco, which is beautifully set just outside of Austin, but a quick, easy drive, very close to Johnson City, easy to get to Fredericksburg if you want to, or down to San Antonio. It is a great place if you are looking for a place to stay for the Texas games or for F1. Y'all, this is a place you need to check it out. It sleeps up to 14 people. There is a main house and then 2 extra cabins, a beautiful pool. It is overlooking 120 acres in the Hill Country. It is, you can't beat it.
And the Longhorns.
And if you want to meet my Longhorns, you'll get the opportunity. They're out there as well. You get to feed them. You get to say hi, get to meet Gabriel and the gang. But yeah, if you are looking for a place to stay or just a staycation in Central Texas, please, again, that is Rockin' Diamond S Ranch. So check it out. He's got a calendar that you can book online. Chuck Smith is the owner. He's a wonderful human. And again, place is decked out in University of Texas stuff.
Cool. Yeah.
It's a very Texas experience.
It's
so
if you're
looking for a place to stay, that is absolutely where to go.
The link is in the comments.
Yeah, we've got the link in the comments. So.
All right. So let's do a quick prediction preview of UTSA. We know Jeff Traylor, one of the best high school coaches in Texas football, and was on the staff at UT. He brought this team to Austin a couple years ago, and it was a match until halftime, right?
Yeah.
So looking ahead, last year when Texas came back from Alabama, they were in a battle with Wyoming, a team they shouldn't have been in a battle with. Is this something that we should be worried about with UTSA? Are we still at the point where coming off a big win, they're not going to be dialed in 100%?
So what I will say is, again, the only little pink flag in the back of my head right now going, well, Texas did kind of let up at the end of that Michigan game. I hope that's not the comfort and the fatigue that we say going in. All of that being said, look, Matthew, I love it. Texas by 100. I think that this team is locked in. Mm-hmm. You know, we've talked over the years about, you know, when teams are developing, you lose big, and then the next year you lose small, and then you win small, and then you win big. And by all accounts, from what we've seen so far, you know, through the offseason and these first 2 games of the season, I really do think Texas is in the win big phase, right?
Yes.
And a big part of that, Texas has the skill. We've got veteran players now. We've got a lot of maturity coming out from all of the players, but the mentality is there. The mentality has shifted from where we were 4 years ago to today. I think there's zero question with that. So Last year, a big concern was Texas would play up or down to its opponent. I don't think we're going to see that as much this year. I think we might see little flashes of letting up a little like we did against Michigan and the junk time. But I don't think Texas is going to go into this game. They know that while we do know that UTSA is in a rebuilding phase right now, Traylor had some really great teams there for the past couple of years, but lost a lot of players and is certainly in a rebuilding phase. I don't think Texas is going to overlook them. Now, I will point out, I think a benefit to Texas's schedule, the way that it's lined up right now. So Texas started off with Colorado State, won heftily, covered the spread easily, did the same thing at Michigan. Then we have two teams that we come in where traditionally maybe you're looking ahead. Mm-hmm. There's a team but you're not. I think it's fair to say Texas isn't going to be looking ahead to ULM, right? No. Louisiana Monroe. So I think we are in a really good position right now. Texas is going to come back and just listening to the team after Michigan, listening to the words, listening to what the coaches were saying. By all accounts, they could have been singing the high praises, and they were. They gave shout outs to the players and the things that did well, but they were right there harping on the little things too. There's some little things that we got to clean up. There's a little bit of communication that I think was lacking in the end. We've got the concern, Jaden Blue, is he going to be healthy? We saw that tweaked ankle at Michigan. So overall, I think Texas, these players are hungry. I think they've got a chip on their shoulder from last year and that loss to Washington. I think they're ready to prove that this is a national championship caliber team. Sarkisian has talked about through the years what the goals were. Just making the college playoffs this year isn't the goal. Winning a conference isn't the goal. This year, the goal is winning it all. This year, the goal is the national championship. So, and I love that. That is the mentality that you should have at the University of Texas.
Set the bar high.
Set the bar high and play up to that expectation. What are you thinking? Are you thinking we see a little slumber, or you think Texas?
No,
comes out
I think
strong?
they are focused. We've heard reports out of practice this week that they're really dialed in and working hard. I would like to see this weekend, to know that they're focused. The first week, 11 or so different receivers, 11 or so different pass catchers, 6 different receivers. This week, really only 2 wide receivers caught the ball. Well, we saw DeAndre Moore's catch was brought back, and I think it was Bolden's that was brought back or something, but Bond and Golden were the only 2 receivers. And then Helm, which was amazing, almost 100-yard game. I would like to see, this is a great time to get more receivers involved again. And so more Cook, more Wingo, I love the way they're using them in different ways. So maybe not that they need to show anything from the playbook, but it is a more opportunity to get that ball moving around again.
Yeah.
It just shows you that Quinn is kind of dialing in on Bond and Golden and those big moments.
I think he's going to guys that he's comfortable with. But let's point out too, at Michigan, Wingo had some big plays. It wasn't many, but he was there. I think it was a quick
50-something yard run.
That started with a quick short backfield pass that Wingo then got it was the yards after catch that really set that play up. So I agree. I think it's going to be a similar game plan to what we saw at Colorado State. Whereas with Michigan, you go with the guys that are open, you go with the guys, where the opportunity is. In that sense, against UTSA, I think there's going to be more opportunity for more guys to be open and to get a chance. Now, I have a question for you. We mentioned briefly Blue coming out, which when that happened at the Big House, you could hear Longhorn Nation just collectively hold their breath and, oh God, not the running back, right?
Not any running back, because they're so thin there.
Right. But again, Trey Wisner stepped up, played well. Gibson had true freshman, really impressed with the depth, even given the situation that Texas is in. So for UTSA, if you're Coach Stark, do you start Blue for this game? Do you let him play? All right.
Yes, I say yes for a couple reasons. One, UTSA, look at what happened with Texas State last week and the week before. They struggle with defending the run. So now is a great opportunity for Blue and Wisner to get some more reps in, keep that rhythm going, and then rest when they feel that they are confident that they need that rhythm and that keep moving and that rolling with that rhythm. So I would say let them get out there. It depends on how they're feeling. If he's just nursing something slight and he feels good and the trainers feel good, go.
Let him go.
If there's something behind the scenes that's bigger, rest. And they decide that. But if he's feeling good, let him play a bit. get Wisner some reps, and then let's get in a little bit more Gibson, and then even the third and fourth string, well now fourth and fifth string running backs, the transfer, like get them some reps too, because they're going to need them all for 15 games.
Yeah. So for me, I would definitely say let him start. I think that looks good for the stat line. Again, this is a really important year for Blue and it's going to help his draft stock. We know his goal is to be the NFL. It was mentioned that he looks at the picture that you took.
Oh, I know. He looks at
every
day. He looks at the picture I took every day as inspiration.
And that's his goal, of the running backs all lined up that you took about on the 50-yard line. Excuse me. But so we know that his goal is NFL. We know that his goal is to show up, and he's got to have a really great year this year to help boost that draft stock. Mm-hmm. But I think at the same time, against a team like UTSA, coming off a solid performance at Michigan where he did get a little banged up, I think you let him get the start to say, hey man, I started every game. I did this, mm-hmm. right? But after the first quarter, I think that's when you pull him, you let him rest, you let the other guys get in. Again, I'm very confident in Trey Wisner. I think that we've seen him really step up the way that we know that he could. He's been that workhorse. Again, I want to give him the Rojo Award, if such thing existed, mm-hmm. To really develop and play the way that, that patient player that we're seeing at Texas. And those are the kind of players that Sark is bringing in.
Seth, our buddy Seth, will we see Cole
Lord play? That is going deep there, friend.
Yeah, I mean,
if we get to a fourth string quarterback at this game, everything has gone right for Texas. I think fourth string is probably going to be asking a bit much, but I do think that we see Arch for sure. I think this is something where Arch is going to have a significant amount of playing time. Cole, again, I was impressed with Cole Lord in the orange and white game, but that's pretty deep into the depth chart there. So I would be surprised if we got that far into it, but I think certainly you can count on seeing Arch Manning come in, get some good reps, and maybe even
Cole Lord the running back or the third?
No, he's the fourth
quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So again, Texas, by all accounts, this is expected to be quite a blowout. We know that UTSA is coming off of a 49-10 loss at Texas State, who is playing tonight against. Who are they playing tonight? Arizona State. Thank you.
I'm headed to that game in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yes.
I think UTSA is licking their wounds a little bit, but I'm just going to say this. I'm not confident. I think Texas State is a solid team this year. I think they're making an argument for maybe getting picked up by the Pac-12.
They are also making an argument, should they win tonight, to be in the playoffs as a top group of 5 team.
Absolutely could happen. So while I think UTSA is a well-coached team, I think they're going to be coming in with a chip on their shoulder after that performance against Texas State last week. I just don't think that there's any way that UTSA, even if Texas completely falls on their ass and is completely unfocused, which is not going to happen.
Let's not say that.
Is not going to happen. But even if that was the case, I still think this is such a mismatch. Texas wins this game pretty handily. We'll give our predictions here in a little bit. But so just real quick, keys to UTSA. We'll fly through this. I know you've got to get to your game. And folks, normally we will be on a little bit longer when we're live, but because Rocky's got that game at Texas State, we want to make sure to get her there on time.
Traffic to San Marcos is just so
crazy,
so smooth.
Pretty crazy. So, all right. So what are some keys to the game from Texas for the Texas win? Rocky, I'll let you start with offense. What are keys to the game?
Run the dang ball. Run the ball. This needs to be an opportunity to just establish their physicality, get more experience for all, like they've been doing 2 and 3 deep in these games, get lots of playing time, get freshmen playing time. And they are playing a lot of freshmen, which is great for recruiting. Just get out there and show Texas football. Don't take a step back. Don't play down to the competition. Go out there and execute and run the dang ball.
Yeah, I like it. I would agree with that. I think running the ball.
And also get it to all the receivers.
Yeah. Well, running the ball is going to be important here. And I think just eating up the clock. Time of possession. I struggle to see a way that UTSA is going to dominate in time of possession against this Texas defense. So offense, keep that ball, run the clock out. Let's make this game go quickly. It's going to be a night game, which is nice.
Woo!
Again, 6 p.m.
That's always fun.
6 p.m. kickoff. So it won't be quite as blistering hot as it could be. But let's get home. Let's finish watching Sports Center. Let's close this game out early. So agreed. Texas needs to run the ball. Let's run out the clock and get a lot of guys in there. Now, as far as defense goes, what are you looking for with this game? What are the keys for Texas closing out?
I would say do what you did at Michigan. Is establish a solid line. force turnovers. I would like to see, especially a team like UTSA, that pressure that's been building. Let's finish those with sacks. We have 1 sack now, Colin Simmons. So I would like to see them finish that more, especially at this level of competition. You should be able to, we should see the pressure should be obvious, and maybe those start to. Last week it turned into interceptions and fumbles. Let's see if that can turn into some sacks, because that's kind of the number that's still kind of missing, is those sack numbers.
Yeah, agreed. So I think that's something I love that. You want to see the quarterback get up, have that, well, what would be a dirty uniform if we were playing on actual grass, right? But yeah, I think if you get in the quarterback's head early, you hit him hard, you hit him often. I don't see UTSA's O-line stacking up well against our defensive tackles and our D-line. But again, I think this is another opportunity. Let's get some reps in for the 2s and the 3s too. Again, I know this sounds so cocky to say this just so casually.
Well, they're 35-point favorites. So.
Texas is the 35-point favorite. So,
but so is Notre Dame was 28-point favorites last week.
That's fair. And again, we know that Sarkisian has been showing that game on repeat. He's been hammering the importance of not letting up and not thinking that there's any easy games. But yeah, I mean, I think Texas, if they go out and play their game, I want to see the same level of intensity and wanting to rip the quarterback's head off against UTSA and against ULM, as we saw against Michigan, as we're going to see against OU, as we're going to see against Georgia, right? I want to see that. Just be some dogs, be mad, be pissed the whole game. I want Texas to come
60 minutes of hell.
Yeah, 60 minutes of hell. I want Texas to come out and just be pissed off the whole game and make the opponent pay. Make UTSA want nothing more than to get back on that bus to San Antonio and get the hell out of Dodge, right? So special teams, I want to give a quick shout out to Bert Auburn. We saw, again, unfortunately, that missed kick, but he settled down after that. The wind was pretty nuts down low at Michigan. Towards that end of the field. It was definitely a directional wind.
And it was a 45-yard attempt, I think.
Yeah,
when he missed.
And it was a strong directional wind. But quick shout out to Auburn. He now is the sole record holder for Texas for most points after. So he is 125 for 125. So
you better
pretty impressive.
Some wood.
Pretty impressive. Look, he owns the record now.
Okay.
So
I know, but the perfect record.
I get it. I get it.
Good job.
Good job. It's my fault if I jinxed it. I don't think I have that kind of announcer power here.
No.
So yeah, looking at Auburn, I actually have his stats pulled up here. For his career right now, he is at 81.3% for field goal percentage. So we got a solid leg in Auburn.
Yeah,
a guy that's really going to make him.
Texas is kicker you lately.
It has been lately, that is for sure. So like to see some consistency there. Of course, I think this is a good time. I feel bad for our punter because I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of reps.
Michael Kern.
Yeah, I don't think he's Michael. We appreciate you, man. I hope
stay
we never
hydrated. See you and you're having the best time on campus.
Yeah. Again, that was
not because you're not amazing, but because we never have to punt.
No, that was an impressive stat that Texas, the first punt of the season didn't happen until second quarter, I think it was.
That's
at Michigan.
Pretty amazing.
So I hope he stays bored. I hope he stays on the sideline on that bicycle.
I hope he has a Rubik's Cube.
Staying bored, yeah. But
right.
Yeah, special teams. Let's see some solid work out of them and continue working there. But yeah, we'll give our prediction for Texas UTSA here shortly.
All right. So let's fly through. This is week 3 of college football. Tonight, Arizona State at Texas State. It is the ESPN game. It is blackout. I have a black t-shirt to wear. Arizona State favored by 1.5. Like we said a minute ago, this could be a path for Texas State to make it into the playoffs as a group of 5 leading ranked team. Arizona State favored by 1.5. I'm going to say Texas State pulls this off because they have the home field and this is a big game at home. I don't know. Arizona State ran all over Mississippi State last week, like 350 yards or so. So let's say Texas State can hang with them. So I'm going to say Texas State.
The upset.
I'm calling is it an upset? Yeah, that's 1.5 technically. Yeah. I'm going to say Texas State pulls it off by 2 at home.
I like it. I appreciate that. I'm going to be rooting for your Cats. I'm going to be excited for them, but I think Arizona State's got this.
Boo you.
I know. Sorry.
All right.
In the battle of the maroon and golds, I think that Arizona State comes out on top of it.
Yeah, that's why we're blocking out tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. So Friday, Arizona 20 Arizona, who now, thanks to Texas going into Michigan and beating them, they now hold the consecutive win records in college football.
You're welcome.
Arizona, you're welcome. They're at 14. Kansas State. Kansas State is favored by 7. What do you say?
Ooh, I'm going to say Kansas State in this one. Even though they were in a tough one against Tulane, I think that was a wake-up call for K-State. I think that's going to be some
Tulane.
Yeah, look, And we'll talk about them in a minute.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a wake-up call for K-State. Again, this is at home. Manhattan can be a really tough place to play when their fans are in it. And even though they don't have Klein anymore, I do believe that this is going to be a K-State win. KSU by 7. Not sure that I'm going to buy into that. So I'm going to say KSU wins, but I don't think they cover.
I can see that. KSU win and cover and no cover. Kansas and Kansas State both have Friday night games at home. So Saturday, let's go quickly. LSU 16 at South Carolina. LSU lost to at USC the beginning of the season. Now they have another USC, but this time this USC just came off a butt whooping at Kentucky, giving a butt whooping at Kentucky. LSU is favored at South Carolina by 7. I'm going to say South Carolina wins that game.
I'm with you here, Rocky. Maybe this is upset weekend for me, I guess, but I really think that South Carolina at home is going to be tough for LSU. I am not convinced that LSU is a number 16 team in the nation right now. I think they've got too many question marks.
Yet, no.
Yeah, I'm not quite there to anoint them at 16 yet. So yeah, I think unranked South Carolina at home. Yeah, go Cox. I think they win and cover here.
All right, we don't have to pick this one, but number 9, Oregon is going to Oregon State. It's also the weekend that like North Carolina is with North Carolina State, like all those. Washington State, Washington is all this weekend. Tulane, we just said it, is going to they're going to 15 Oklahoma. Oklahoma's 13.5-point favorites. They were favored huge last weekend against Houston, like 4 touchdowns or something, and they survived by 2 points, 4 points or something. Yeah. So what do you think about the Oklahoma offense? Are they going to
Tulane, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Tulane at Oklahoma. What do you think about that? Oklahoma favored by 13.5.
I'm going to stick with my trend of upset weekend. I think that Tulane goes in. I think they're going to look. I've said this. I think OU is having a down year, and I like Brett Venables as a DC. I think he's a great DC. I am still not convinced that the man has all that it takes to be a head coach with that CEO style. I mean, I just don't know that he's delegating well. I don't know that he is at that level yet to be a head coach at a place like the University of Oklahoma. So I think Tulane comes in. They just gave hell to Kansas State. They took everything they had to Kansas State and came off just shy. Maybe there's a little fatigue there, but I think Oklahoma isn't believing in themselves right now as a team. I think there's a lot of questions swirling around that team and a little bit of uncertainty. So yeah, man, I'm calling the upset. I say Tulane goes in and lays down that New Orleans whooping on them. I think Tulane wins. It's gonna be a close game, but yeah, I think Tulane pulls it out at Oklahoma.
Tulane at Penn State or Kansas State?
Kansas State.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Oh wow, to the wire.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were leading most of the game by a lot.
Okay.
K-State came back in the end.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So quickly, Georgia, number 1 Georgia is 24-point favorites at Kentucky, already starting conference play. Aggies at Florida. This is a big one because whoever loses, we already know the Florida coach Napier is on the hot seat. Elko is new at A&M, but does he want to start his career 1-2? Like, they are fighting for the trajectories of their program in this game. Florida is loaded with injuries. Aggies are coming in pretty healthy as field goal favorites at Florida. Who wins this game?
I'm taking A&M. I look, as much as I think this is going to be a really interesting game to see where these programs are actually at. I just think Florida is just a bad football team right now. I don't think they have a lot going for them. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of injuries to play into that as well. Listen, the Aggies are being tough on Elko. I have A&M finishing 7-5 this year. And that's not an indictment on Elko. I think Elko is probably a really good fit for A&M. You shouldn't judge a coach by his first year, especially when he's coming in and has to do a lot of changes, a lot of rebuilding. If we had that mentality against Sarkisian, we wouldn't be where we're at now. So look, I'm going to take A&M in this. They're favored by 3.5. I think A&M goes in and covers, but barely. I'm taking A&M by about a touchdown.
Okay. Yeah, I think A&M actually goes in there and wins 7 to 10 points. All right. Colorado State. Colorado's favored by 7. That's another heated rivalry. Colorado State's players made a little video that, Instagram likes, playing whatever they said.
Calling their shot.
They want the heat. They want all the heat. Okay. UTSA at Texas. We'll finish with that. Texas right now, 35.5 favorites. Give me the score prediction for Texas, UTSA at Texas.
I think Texas comes out on top of this. I'm calling for Texas wins and covers easily. I think Texas finishes this game 59-10. I think Texas really goes out and just they're going to be, they have a point to prove to Sark that they're not going to let up, that they're going to make this, like we keep talking about. And like Sark said, 60 minutes of hell for the opponent. So I think Texas is motivated, even though it is a UTSA team that isn't quite on the talent or level that this Texas team is. So I'm taking Texas 59-10. They cover, and they cover easily. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. The only reason that slows me down with such a high number is because Texas is still going to be rotating players, working on things. But I think no matter what defense is in there, UTSA, I don't see them having the offense to get a touchdown on this team. Texas has only given up 1 touchdown in 2 games, and that included going on the road to Michigan. So I'm going to say it's more like a 6 or 9 points. Maybe they get in field goal range, UTSA, but I'm going to say something like 48-9 because I just...
So we're pretty close.
It's a cover.
Yeah.
It's a cover.
It's a cover.
It's a cover.
But not by quite as much.
Can they blow them out? Sure. Are they going to think more than blowing that? Are they working beyond the score right now?
If you think 48-9 isn't a blowout, we need to talk about it.
No, I mean, could they beat them by 60
if
they wanted to?
Yeah, if they felt like it. All right, y'all. Well, you've got to hear, we've both got Texas winning and winning big, covering that 35-point spread. Again, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you here. If you guys are into it, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter. Be sure that you're following us on Twitter, X and Instagram at Fire the Cannon 1. And of course, please like and subscribe to the channel here at Fire the Cannon Podcast. We're always happy to have y'all here. We're always excited for the engagement. Let us know. We're thinking about maybe firing up a little spaces on Friday. Maybe we have some conversation with y'all Friday right before the game and see how we feel. Fun. Yeah. All right. So for now, y'all, I am Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And we are Fire the Cannon.